Hi, I'm Skip Schwink. Welcome to the Sun King Podcast. In 1995, I moved to Los Angeles for the third time to try to make it in the entertainment industry. These are my stories of working with the biggest artists in the world. And I also partied my ass off the entire time. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the time that I worked on a Sepultura video and got high with Coolio and then got in the video, but then cut out of the video. Of course. And that leads into what is probably my craziest Halloween ever. Starts with a gunfight, ends with mushrooms. In Hollywood, we call that Tuesday. So I'm walking towards the studio, and this is a small studio. There's a lot of small studios in LA, like, 2, 3, 4 stages kind of studio, or sometimes even just one studio. This one I had I think 4 stages on it. So I'm walking towards the studio that we're shooting the Sepultura video on, and I see a buddy of mine, and he's talking to Coolio. And I got a minute, and I'm like, I'm going to stop by and say hi, I'm Coolio. So I go over, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, Skip. And he's like, hey, Coolio. It's a Skip, Coolio. Coolio just holds up a joint, doesn't even say anything. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And he's like, yeah. So I hit the joint, and we rapped for a few minutes. He was really cool. And I didn't have that much time, so I had to get into the, get to the stage. So I get back over into the stage, and fucking high as shit. Coolio had very good weed. And the director comes up and says, Skip, do you want to be in the video? And I'm like, do you want me to be in a Sepultura video? No, fuck yeah, dude. What are you asking me for? Don't ever ask me that. Just assume that I will do it. And he's like, laughing. All right, settle down. Because I was kind of rambling. And he's like, all right, you're going to be this kind of yuppie guy. The concept was like an octagon, like a UFC fighting octagon. So he says, you're going to fight this guy in the octagon, and you're going to be a preppy. And he's going to be like this tatted up, pierced up guy. And you don't ever have to really fight. We just kind of see you going through the motions of coming at each other, and all these different kind of people will be cut into the band plate, intercut with the band plate. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And he's like, go to wardrobe. So they threw some preppy clothes on me. Anybody that knew me growing up probably figured I was already wearing some. No, I was a beach bum then. I wasn't wearing any prep clothes. And so I get out there and I'm prep. I got this backpack and these guys tatted up. And I'm baked out of my mind. I'm in heaven. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to be a Sepultura video on weed. It was great. So I'm like, got the backpack and I'm like, yeah, come on, motherfucker. Just being total aggro about it. And this guy's all like, yeah, come on, man. So even Sepultura was off stage, was like, dude, that was great. You did a really nice job. I was like, oh, wow, thanks. Even the band likes it. And I knew them a little bit because I had picked them up. I was their driver. And they wanted to go to church before we filmed the video. They were so cool. They were just like, yeah, we'd like to go pray. I'm like, absolutely. Sat in church with them and respected their time. And very cool guys. Very, very a great bunch of guys. And I got cut from the video. I never heard a reason why, but I was cut. So I was like, once again, here you go. You're going to be in this video. It's going to be great. It's going to be big around the world. No, you're not. So then pretty much right after that video, one of the production people of that, I think it was, called me and said, hey, we're doing, I don't remember what the video was, but we're shooting on Halloween. And they were kind of having a tough time finding people because it was Halloween. People didn't want to work. They wanted to go out and do stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I need money. I always need money. So I take the gig. Only because they said that we were going to be out by no later than 8, which, okay, 9, maybe 10 at the worst. I can boogie down to the beach and still hook up with all my buddies for the party night we were going to have. So it's shoot day. It's Halloween. We're filming, and it's just kind of moving slow. It's like everything, like one disaster after another. We got the Murphy's Law of sets going on. And I said to the producer, I was like, you still think we're going to make it out of here by 8? And she's like, oh, no, we're going to be here way late, probably, maybe even till the morning. I'm like, you think it's going to go that long? She's like, yeah, they're really behind. So I'm completely pissed. I just kind of huff off, not in front of her, just to myself. And, went and sat in a chair, just like, I'm going to miss Halloween, plain and simple. So we're sitting in this where we are. We were sitting in a parking lot at an intersection, just in some downtown part of LA, and I don't know if it was downtown, close to downtown. The whole place is like one big city anyway. Um, and I'm sitting there, kind of pissed, off to the side, and the crew's chatting because they're doing driving shots at that time. The main crew and the talent are off doing driving shots for the video. So a good chunk of us are just sitting back at set, kind of hanging out, waiting, just chilling. And I'm stewing in my brain like, God, I never would have taken this job if I didn't know I was missing Halloween. I'm just being a whiny little brat in my head. And at that moment, at the intersection, now before I say this, it's just inevitable if you're working in LA and you're out on a whole bunch of different locations all the time, you're going to run into violence. It's a horrible fact. So I'm sitting there, stewing in my brain, being a brat to myself, and all of a sudden, this car comes screeching around the corner. I look and I'm watching it. There's a car behind it, screeching around the corner right behind it, like something out of a movie, a chase scene. And there's a guy hanging out of the passenger window of the second car. He's just firing off shots at the car in front of him. They're chasing. Boom, 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 boom. And just speed away, go. Everybody's freaking out, screaming and running every direction. I had dropped and ducked and looked around. I just stayed calm. I walked out to the street, saw everything was gone, and I looked down, and I saw little 22 shell casings. The smart ass in me immediately turned around and went, it's no big deal. It's just 22 shell casings. Couldn't really hurt you. Not a lot. And I did it in the Carl Spackler Caddyshack voice. I shit you not. No big deal. It's just a 22. Not going to hurt you. Unless it catches you in the head, maybe. Something like that. Chinch bugs and manganese, I'm not going to get into it. That's the impression I did for my entire childhood. But it got scary like that sometimes. Shit would happen right in front of you. Like right after that happened, the police showed up to set, and like the police showed up right when the crew was coming back from filming because they had no idea. And they were like, "What the police? What's going on?" And the police were like, "You guys got to shut down." And they were like, "What?" And I went up to the director. I was like, "There was a shootout. I mean, there was a drive-by. It was a gunfight." And they were like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "No, it happened right here. Here's a shell. Here's a 22. See, it wasn't that bad." But he immediately just yelled out, "That's a wrap." So I'm completely out of my mind happy. Inside, I'm like, holy shit, are you kidding me? It was only like 5 in the afternoon or something. Plenty of time to get down to the beach and get ready. I was just like, yes, thank you, drive-by. Thank you, gang war. It's terrible. But, I hope nobody was hurt. But, I got my Halloween. But all those people I worked with on all those shoots, the crew and everybody I knew, they were all up on the west side. This was the big difference. And in retrospect, a bit of the mistake that I made. I don't regret the partying I did living at the beach, but I do regret not keeping my nose to the grindstone, especially now that I'm seeing, once I'm focusing, what's unfolding in my life. The potential that I had that I guess I just took it for granted then because I was pretty good whenever I did anything creative, but I was more worried about the party. I was always more worried about the party. So I would work on these jobs. Most of those guys lived on the west side, like I said, so their nose to the grindstone, they're working. I went back down to the South Bay, which is probably a 30-minute ride outside of Hollywood, down on the beach in Hermosa and Redondo. And most of the people that lived there weren't really in the movie industry. You bump into some people that were, you'd recognize from crew and stuff here and there, but that's not, where they were saturated whatsoever. It was just a bunch of people in their 20s that wanted to live at the beach for a while before they grew up. And I was like, perfect, that's me. So the partying there was absolutely insane. The difference between, living there and being up in LA is once I left LA and went to the beach, I just didn't think about career at all. I was in a different, I was in party mode. Flip-flops came on, shirt came off. I lived on 14th Street in Manhattan Beach. And I mean, right downtown, ocean view from our deck, and directly across the street. I mean, like you open up your front door at your house and you see your neighbor across the street. Hey, Mike. That far away, right across the street, was the police department, fire department, and city hall. Now, the one good thing about that is I was key PA on working. What that means is I always try to be key PA or be the key and be the second AD as well so that I could drive the truck because my car was always broken down. It was a horrible piece of crap. Sometimes I even still license plates that still had a good sticker on it so I could keep driving my car. You do what you do. You got to get through. Living across the street from the police, that was a bit of a chess match. I remember one time I had to hide in my closet because he came knocking on the door at the place. He's like, is that car owner here? He's like, we saw him come in. I'm like, he's not here. I don't know what to tell you. I was hiding in my closet under clothes. It was terrible. I was a horrible person. Responsible-wise, I was just completely irresponsible. But when I worked, and I worked hard when I worked. So living at the beach, productions always wanted me to take that truck, be the key PA, because I'd pick up the equipment. So I'd have $500,000 worth of camera equipment and all the stuff on there because I would park that truck overnight in the police parking lot. I mean, the truck's locked and everything, but it's also on top of that in a police parking lot. So the producers around town loved using me on shoots because they knew that their equipment was beyond safe. But when I was at the beach, it was all about the beach. And on this particular Halloween, I was dating this woman that owned an antique vintage clothing store. And I wanted to be Austin Powers. So she had this blue velvet suit with white frilly shirt and little fake black glasses, looked exactly like Austin Powers. And I did my hair a little bit like it. And it was crazy. And I used to do a crazy impression of Austin Powers. It's like, yeah, baby. It was better then. I'm not as good at it now. I'm not going to try to do it. So what we also decided to do was take mushrooms. So I'm dressed as Austin Powers. We take mushrooms. We walk out. And I also had taken at the time a Discman. It was a Discman. There was no iPhone or even whatever digital music thing. I had to have a disc. And I hung some speakers off my belt, which even then was a little difficult to set up. So I had the theme music of Austin Powers. So I had this Discman hanging off me. And if I was ever entering anywhere, I would hit the button and hear... And it was great. It wasn't that loud, so people could hear it. Like, oh my God, great idea. You need better speakers. Can't be perfect. But if I wasn't somewhere loud, you could easily hear it. It was loud enough. So we're coming down the steps of the apartment, heading to the street, and just a couple doors down, there was a Halloween party going on. So we were going to hit that first on our big, adventure out shrooming on Halloween. And as I'm coming down the steps, there's two women dressed as fembots coming by. The timing couldn't have been better. I hit play on my Discman, and all of a sudden, just really loud, I had it set at full volume. And these two women stopped in their tracks and looked up, and they just screamed like, ah! And I just went, yeah, baby! And I jumped down in between them and threw my arms around them, and we went to the party, and I came in with the theme music, and I just owned the room. It was a moment. It was. I'll say it. I'll be conceited and talk about me like that. It was fantastic. It was belle of the ball. Everybody loved it. I remember after that, we're walking down the Strand because we're heading down to Hermosa to go to our favorite bar to go party that night, and the shrooms are kicking in. As we're walking, the shrooms really start kicking in. It's about a good hour and a half later, and everyone just kind of like, oh, I feel that. Oh yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. And I'm out there, and I'm like, hey, before we go to the bar, let's go out to the end of the pier and stare out at the darkness of the ocean. Everyone went, yeah, let's do that. So there was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us, and we just walked out to the end of the pier in Manhattan, or was it Hermosa? It was Hermosa. And we ended the Hermosa pier and just went and stared at, the darkness of the void of the Pacific Ocean at night, because it was good 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we were there, who knows? I mean, it felt like forever. And I finally just went, what? I can't tell you what even I was going on. It was just, you were just completely zoned out. And I think my mind had 8 trillion thoughts going at once. And then some people were like, holy shit, man, can we just go to the bar now? Nobody really, they might have told me the stories of what they saw. I don't remember, but it's just some people were freaked out. Some people were laughing. But it was just shrooms. And they were like, yeah, you know what? Let's go to the bar, man. The fuck? So we go over to the bar. And for the rest of the night, I would say a good 4 hours, I suddenly was Austin Powers. You couldn't get me to talk any other way. And, at some point, my friends were like, oh, God, dude, are you ever going to stop? And I'm like, stop what, baby?